They told you it is impossible. Every broker you call about that old boat will tell you the same thing, that it simply cannot be insured. And for a lot of buyers, that one sentence kills the whole dream right there on the phone. They are not exactly lying to you, but they are not telling you the whole truth either. And the difference between those two things is where this entire video lives. Insurance is the single biggest reason people walk away from a cheap boat. Not the engine, not the slip, not even the survey. Insurance. It is the showstopper, the thing that turns a real deal back into a fantasy in about 30 seconds. But here is what almost nobody explains to you. There is a difference between a boat that no company on earth will cover and a boat that only the easy, lazy companies will not cover. That gap, that little crack between those two sentences, is exactly where the smart buyers live. So by the end of this, you will know 3 things. You will know why a boat gets stamped uninsurable in the first place. You will know the kind of coverage that almost any boat afloat can still get, no matter how old it is. And you will know the one inexpensive document that quietly unlocks a real, working policy on a boat that 3 different people swore was hopeless. None of this is a trick. It is just knowing which door to knock on. Let me start with the 2 words that decide everything, because once you understand them, the whole insurance wall starts to look a lot smaller. Those 2 words are agreed value versus actual cash value. Write them down if you have to. They are the hinge the entire thing swings on. Agreed value means the insurer and you sit down before anything happens and you agree on a number. Say that number is $40,000. If the boat is a total loss, a fire, a sinking, a storm that breaks her back, they pay you $40,000. No depreciation, no haggling, no adjuster knocking 10 grand off because the boat got a year older. The number you agreed on is the number you get. That is the coverage everybody wants, and that is the coverage the brokers wave in front of you to make the old boat look impossible. Actual cash value is the other animal entirely. Actual cash value pays you the depreciated market value of the boat at the moment it is destroyed. And on an old hull, that depreciated value can be a tiny fraction of what you actually put into her. You might pour $30,000 into a refit, and if she sinks, the actual cash value check might be $8,000. Because that is what the open market says. A 40-year-old boat of her type is worth on paper. It stings. But notice something. It is still a check. It is still coverage. It is still insurance. Now here is the catch the brokers always lead with. The thing that makes them say uninsurable. Agreed value is usually only offered on newer boats. As a hull ages, insurers quietly push you off agreed value and onto actual cash value. And past a certain age and condition, a lot of them will not write physical damage coverage on the hull at all. They would rather just decline. So when a broker tells you the boat is uninsurable, what he actually means, 90% of the time, is that the boat is uninsurable for agreed value hull coverage. He does not mean uninsurable for everything. He means uninsurable through the one easy product he likes to sell. There is a whole world underneath that, and he is not paid to walk you down there. So let me walk you down there, because the layers below agreed value are where the real game is played. The first layer, the floor under everything, is liability-only coverage. In the marine world, it usually goes by the name protection and indemnity. It does not pay to fix your boat. What it does is cover the damage your boat could do to other people. Other boats, a dock, a fuel spill, a person in the water. It is cheap relative to full coverage. And here is the part that matters most for an old boat. Liability only generally requires no survey at any age. The insurer is not betting on the condition of your hull. They are betting on the chance you bump into someone, so they do not much care how old she is. Real named markets write this coverage. Markel writes it. Boat US writes it. Geico Marine writes it. SkiSafe writes it. These are not obscure backroom outfits. These are companies you can call this afternoon. So already the boat that was uninsurable a minute ago is sitting there with a real liability policy on it, legal at the dock, legal underway, and covered for the worst thing you are statistically likely to do, which is damage somebody else's property. That alone reopens the whole deal for a lot of buyers who are ready to walk. The second layer up is the specialty and classic boat markets. There is an entire corner of the insurance world that exists specifically for older and unusual hulls, wood boats, vintage cruisers, oddball one-off builds, the stuff the mainstream companies will not touch. These markets understand old boats. They know a well-kept 40-year-old trawler can be a safer bet than a neglected 10-year-old, and they price accordingly. The easy companies decline these boats out of pure laziness. The specialty markets make their living on them, and this is worth slowing down on, because most buyers never even find these markets. The mainstream companies advertise everywhere, so they are the first call everyone makes, and when they say no, people assume the answer is no across the board. It is not. The specialty underwriter does not run your boat through an automated form that spits out a decline the second it sees the build year. A human being reads your survey, looks at your photos, weighs the condition against the age, and makes a judgment. That is the whole difference. You went from a computer that rejects anything older than a certain date to a person who can be persuaded by evidence. The evidence is your survey and your repair records, which is exactly why the document matters so much. And now we get to the key, the inexpensive document I promised you, the thing that unlocks a real policy on a boat everyone wrote off. It is a clean marine survey from an accredited surveyor. That is it. That is the whole secret weapon. A surveyor who actually knows boats goes through the hull, the systems, the wiring, the through hulls, the safety gear, and writes up an honest report on her condition and value. When that report comes back clean, or clean enough, you stop being a question mark to an underwriter and you start being a known quantity. And here's the thing that makes the survey so powerful. Insurers commonly require a marine survey anyway on any boat over 27 feet or older than 10 years. So the very document that scares people off, the survey, is the same document that turns a no into a yes. You are going to need it regardless. You might as well use it as a key instead of treating it as a hurdle. Let me put real numbers and a real boat behind all of this. Because theory is cheap. Picture an older Hatteras. A genuine heavy blue water Hatteras, a boat that cost a fortune new and still looks like serious money at the dock. 3 different brokers looked at this boat and used the word uninsurable. 3. Any normal buyer hears that 3 times and runs. But watch the smart path, step by step. First, you get the clean survey. You hire an accredited surveyor who works for you, not for the seller, and you pay him to tell you the truth about that Hatteras. Say the report comes back solid, the hull is sound, the systems are tired but safe. Now you have your key. Second, you start with liability only. Day 1, before anything else, you bind a protection and indemnity policy so the boat is legal and so you are covered for the damage you could do to others. No survey was even required for that part. You are now an insured boat owner on a boat that was uninsurable an hour ago. Third, you document everything. Every professional repair, every yard invoice, every receipt for new wiring or new through hulls or a fresh fuel system. You build a paper trail that proves the boat has been cared for by people who knew what they were doing. Fourth, you graduate. With a clean survey in hand and a stack of professional repair documentation behind you, you go to a specialty market and you ask for actual cash value physical damage coverage. Not agreed value, actual cash value. And on that 40-year-old Hatteras, you very probably get it. The boat that could not be insured now has liability and hull coverage both. But I am going to be honest with you, because honesty is the only thing that makes any of this worth listening to. Agreed value will probably stay off the table on a 40-year-old hull. You can document and survey and charm all you want, and most underwriters still will not hand you a no depreciation guarantee on a boat that old. That is the real, honest limit of this loophole, and anyone who tells you different is selling you something. So let me lay out plainly what actually makes a boat uninsurable and exactly how you fix each item, because every one of these is a door you can open if you know the handle. No current survey. That is the easiest one. Get a survey. A boat with no recent survey is a black box to an underwriter, and underwriters do not insure black boxes. The survey turns the black box into a known quantity, a salvage title. A boat that was once written off and rebuilt carries a brand that scares insurers. The fix is documentation. You gather every record of the professional repairs that brought her back, and you show the underwriter that real tradespeople, not a guy in a driveway, put her back together correctly. Old gasoline inboards with no ignition protection. This is a genuine safety problem. Gas fumes and a spark in a closed engine compartment, and insurers are right to worry about it. The fix is to correct the safety items. Bring the ignition protection up to standard, fix the ventilation, and the boat stops being a fire claim waiting to happen. No maintenance records. An underwriter looking at a boat with no history assumes the worst. The fix is to build a paper trail going forward. Log everything, keep every receipt, and over time you turn a historyless hull into a documented one. And then there is location, the hurricane zone with no haul-out plan. This is the big one, and I want to be specific. The worst markets in the entire country are Florida, Texas, and Louisiana. In those 3 states, insurers will very often demand a written hurricane haul-out plan before they will bind a policy at all. They want to know, in writing, exactly where that boat goes and how it gets out of the water when a named storm is coming. No plan, no policy. It is that simple, and that is why the same boat can be insurable in one state and a brick wall in another. There is one more item worth naming because it sinks more deals than people expect, and that is tired wiring and old electrical systems. An underwriter sees a 40-year-old boat with the original wiring, and what he pictures is a dock fire at 2 in the morning. Marine fires very often start in the electrical system, so this is not paranoia on his part, it is the math of his business. The fix is the same shape as all the others. You have an electrician update the worst of it, you document the work, and your surveyor notes the upgraded systems in his report. A boat with fresh, documented wiring is a completely different risk than the same hull with a rat's nest of 40-year-old connections behind the panel, and the underwriter prices it that way. Now the catch, the honest core. Because this is the part the easy videos skip, and it is the part that should earn your trust. Liability only does not pay to fix your boat. Let me say it again so nobody misunderstands. If you carry liability only and your own boat burns to the waterline, you get nothing for the boat. You are covered for what you did to others, not for what happened to you. Agreed value usually will not be offered on an old hull, so the dream of a no depreciation check on a 40-year-old boat is, for most people, just a dream. A salvage brand still limits you no matter how much you document, and hurricane zones still surcharge you hard or flat out demand that haul-out plan. Some boats, I will tell you straight, genuinely stay uninsurable for physical damage no matter what you do. And when that happens, you have a real choice to make. You self-insure the hull, meaning you accept that if she sinks, that is your loss, and you carry liability only to stay legal and protect everyone else. That is a legitimate way to own a cheap boat. A lot of smart owners do exactly that, but you have to walk into it with your eyes open, not find out the hard way. So here is how the smart buyers actually handle the whole thing, start to finish. Survey first, always, because the survey is the key to every other door. Liability only as your floor. The coverage you bind immediately so the boat is legal and you are protected against the big third-party risk. Specialty markets when you want hull coverage, not the lazy mainstream companies that already told you no. Document every professional repair so you can prove the boat's real condition. A written hurricane plan if you are anywhere near a storm coast, because they are going to ask for it. And if you possibly can, keep the boat in a friendlier state than Florida, Texas, or Louisiana, because geography alone can move you from impossible to easy, and who should just walk away? The person who insists, absolutely insists, on full agreed value coverage on a 40-year-old boat. If that is your line in the sand, this may simply not be your boat, because that coverage may not exist at any price on a hull that old. There is no shame in it. Better to know now than to fall in love with a boat you can never insure the way you want. I want to hear your story on this one, because I know a lot of you have fought this exact fight. So, tell me in the comments, what was your hardest insurance battle? Was it the boat itself, the age, the salvage brand, the old gas engines? Or was it the state, that one place where nobody on the phone would cover you no matter what you said? And most of all, how did you finally solve it? Because somebody reading this is stuck right where you were. And if the slip fees are the next wall you are staring at, I broke down how smart owners beat the $1,000 a month trap in another video. Go watch that one next, and subscribe if you want more of these.